Yo, what's good? What's popping? What's going on? Man, this is crazy. This is crazy. This is insane. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. There's a lot of phoniness that goes on social media. Like a lot of motherfuckers are just phony as fuck. Let me see if my sound is on. Let me check this out. All right, it's all good. Yeah. But like I was saying, you know, there's an increase there's an increasing number of so-called black females on social media who claim to be this quote unquote good woman. The exception to what a lot of black males are used to when they come across so-called black females. They claim to be this exceptional black female, this exception to the rule, this anomaly of a black female, this so-called black female who do not conduct themselves in the very dysfunctional and disrespectful ways that a large portion of them do, right? And then a lot of them come on social media, whether it's YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, etc., and they pretend to they pretend to critique critique or side with the black males when it comes to pointing out the dysfunction of a lot of black females, and a lot of them even make videos advocate about black males and females reuniting, coming together to have some sort of peace, love, and harmony, what have you. They want to make it like some damn Al Green song or some "Let's Get Together" type bullshit and shit, right? But it's funny though, is that a lot of them advocate this, but yet a lot of these females who advocate this, and even some of these males too, who advocate this coming together of so-called black males and females, they, they're not sincere about it. A lot of them are not genuine when it comes to this coming together type shit. Really, especially a lot of these females on this side of YouTube, when they advocate this black males and females should come together, it's in response to an increasing number of black males actually waking up and having some sense and realizing what type of deal that they have when it comes to the average so-called American black female, and understanding that the majority of them should be left alone, which is basically Soul and Black's wall of silence philosophy coming to life, as he predicted about 14, almost 15 years ago, what would happen when it comes to the so-called black female. So thus, so does this fake "let's come together" shit by these black females is in response to that. And since more black males, right, is realizing the dysfunctional behavior of black females, and you got them now adopting these philosophies such as SYSBM, or just the art of finding female mates from other cultures that is outside of this black American paradigm, right? You got these black females that fear that their sisterhood is going to be even lonelier than it already is. So therefore their response is they come with this black males and females should come together as just a way to just absolve themselves of any accountability. That's really what this black males and females let's come together mantra by a lot of these black females are about. It's a lot of these black females who are past their prime, possibly got, a few children by a few guys out there, single moms, single mamas, who claim that finally at their 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s that they finally got some sense, that there's some, born again good black women, and now they preach this. They come into black males with this, let's come together, let's talk together, let's talk together. But they do that as a way to absolve themselves of any accountability. It's this, what that the whole come together is nothing but a flashcard to try to avoid being held accountable for the dysfunction and the destruction that they've contributed to in so-called black society. It's basically a way to try to silence males from holding females accountable from the shit that they've contributed to. Sorry to repeat myself, but repetition is the mother of knowledge. Therefore, it is imperative for one to keep repeating what people say. Excuse me, it is imperative for people to keep repeating themselves. Because why? Because we live in a society where people often forget things, and they often forget things fast, like that, at a snap of a finger. So you must always repeat the same thing over and over again. But back to what I'm saying, back to what I was saying. Yeah. So whenever you got these black females that, and even some of these black male simps that come to that come to so-called black males with this mantra of, let's finally come together. Let's black men and women come together in love, peace, and unity. It's a way for them to silence black males and trying to stop black males from pointing out the accountabilities of black females. Because see, this is the thing, and this is so ironic, right? What's going on? See, but this is the funny thing, right? That in order for so-called black males and females can come together, right? In order for this coming together to actually work, there's a few steps that needs to be taken for that coming together shit could be a reality, right? And one step that should be taken, if people are serious about reuniting the black male and female together in love, peace, and harmony, supposedly, is that people, especially from the black female side, need to actually acknowledge what they've contributed to the destruction of the black male and female, the black male female relation dynamics. They need to acknowledge what they've actually contributed to when it comes to the further destruction of the black family and the black household, and what they've contributed to when it comes to the further destruction of their black neighborhoods, right? Of their neighborhoods, their environment. Acknowledge that, and then they must actually put in the work and the effort to actually fix what they've damaged. See, this is the one key thing that these let's get together sympathizers refuse to do or acknowledge whenever they preach that let's get together bullshit. See, what they want black males to do is forget about all the fucked up shit that they've observed, witnessed, and seen done by a large portion of females within this black American paradigm. Acknowledge them as the exception to the rule and just come together with them. And let's come together. Not realize that the reality before coming together, you must fix what have been broken. If me and SWP Disciple, I'll just use SWP Disciple as just an example to what I'm talking about, right? If me and SWP Disciple was once buddies, once friends, and I did something to just ruin our relationship, our friendship, and then we're no longer friends, and SWP Disciple no longer trusts me. Now, if I want SWP Disciple's trust again, if I want him to forgive me, if I want him if I want to come together with him so we could go back to being friends again, first I must fix what I have contributed to destroying our friendship. I must do the necessary actions to actually heal or repair the damage that I've done. Before SWP Disciple even think about saying, you know what? I forgive the wacky word of O. I'm going to be friends with him again, and we could get back to being friends. I can't just burn bridges with SWP Disciple and then come to him and say, hey, why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? I can't do that. But this is what a large portion of these so-called black females on social media, and even some of these black male simps, are expecting when it comes to to this type of shit that they're preaching on here. Such bullshit like SYCBM, and all this bullshit. You know, save your community. That does not come from a place of sincerity. You know, a lot of these individuals, when they say save your community, black man, of course, anybody with common sense would understand that these people, these females and males who saying that, they don't give a fuck about the community, if there is such a thing, being fixed. What they want is for so-called black males on here to shut the fuck up and accept the masses of black females as their counterpart, and always remain as an option on their knees waiting for these so-called black females to, I don't know. You get the picture. That's all it's about. And now my thing is this, right? My thing is this. My intent in even saying this is not really to attack so-called black females, right? As much as someone who's probably watching this video may assume, may believe, but my intent in making this video is not even to attack so-called black females. My intent in making this video is to make sure that so-called black males, especially on this side of YouTube, are aware of what's going on, are aware of these things. Because the funny thing is with a lot of you so-called black males on here is that as much as y'all make these make all these videos talking about female nature, even though there's no such thing as female nature, you know, when you talk all this shit about the bad behavior of, you know, westernized females. But what I constantly see is, as much as y'all preach this bullshit, I see the same pattern. You guys fall for these let's come together as bitches every fucking time. and you want to sit there and be on panels with them and talk with them and debate with them and all this other stupid ass shit. Man, get the fuck out of here, man. And the reason why I'm making this video, right, is not really for the same reasons why a lot of people are making these videos critiquing SYCBM and all these other dumbass movements out there, right? It's because I actually meant to make this video last week, but I have a life and I was busy in my real life. So but last week, right? Let me give you guys this story. Last week, I was in a panel, right? I was in a certain panel of a certain content creator. Now, the host of this panel, I respect this brother. He's a so-called black male. I respect this brother. I still do. He's a good brother. He's a cool brother, right? But I sort of got disappointed by what happened in that live stream. Really, the live stream was supposed to be about sports, right? But then for whatever reason, the topic got changed into black males on the panel critiquing the bad behavior of so-called black females. So the topic got changed into that topic, right? So while we were speaking, talking about the opposite gender, what have you, a so-called black female who, according to her, she claimed to be a content creator herself, she came into the panel, right? And then what she was saying this shit, right? She came with this typical wannabe pick me nonsense, talking about, see, I'm listening to what you brothers are saying, but I'm listening to what you brothers are saying, and what you're saying is right. It's on point. But I have a channel myself, and I have a lot of beautiful black women, a lot of beautiful black women on my panel. They're very smart. They have good careers, but they just can't seem to find a good black man. So I would like to know, when can we, I can have some of my some of my female followers have a conversation with you guys, and we could all have a panel, because I believe that good black women and good black men should just come together. When I heard that shit in the back of my mind, I was like, here we go with this bullshit. I said, here we go with this big bag of bullshit, because I already know what type of time she's on. What disappointed me is that the other brothers on the panel, it seems as if they did not know what type of time she was on, because they fell for her bait. So then, she came with this, how could black males and females come together, because we need to really come together. And I told her, I said, listen, and the solution, one solution for so black males and females could, in this real world, could really actually be reunited and feel so good and all this other bullshit, is that one way is that so-called black females have a responsibility to break away from what they have socially engineered to think and behave like. Because so-called black females, for the most part in America, have been programmed by the environment that they live in to view the so-called black male as their enemy. They have been programmed to view the so-called black male with contempt and hatred, which is no coincidence why whenever they get into relationships and or marriages with black males, a lot of times it ends up in breakup, because they do not know how to properly treat this man. Why? Because they are programmed to view this man as their enemy. They're programmed to hate the so-called black male. So therefore, the majority of so-called black females need to break away from this thinking that they have been taught ever since they was born about the majority of black males, or this thinking of the majority of black males. And when they break away from this thinking and understand that this, what they've been programmed to believe, is a lie to create enmity between them and their male counterpart, maybe then this coming together could be a reality. Now, I didn't say exactly that verbatim, but in context, I did. So then she responded by saying, "Well," she respond, and her response is it's worthy of being laughed at because when it came to her response, when it came to this person's response, that's when I realized that this person was not sincere because because as a okay, when she responded to my statement, she understood what I was talking about. I was talking about how so-called black females mistreat black males at such a high level to the point that most relationships end up failing a lot of times due to that, right? Mistreatment. I mean, there's other factors. Of course, there are other factors that can contribute to a lot of so-called relationships in Black America failing. One of the biggest factors is Black females mistreating the hell out of Black males. Now, but going on to this person's response, her response was, well, when it comes to the to the attitude problems that a lot of sisters have, I think that a lot of black males are very impatient when it comes to black women, because black women, we're not all perfect. You got a lot of black women that they're good, they're so strong and good at in other areas and other aspects. Like, you got this was our response, that, well, you got black women who are good in making money, they're good in business, they're good in these other areas, but maybe they just got a bad attitude, right? So I think that black men should be patient with them and just be patient as they fix their attitudes, but accept all the other attributes about black women, right? When I heard that bullshit, I immediately know what she was talking about. Basically, what she was talking about in a nutshell is stop holding black females accountable for their bad attitudes, accept us for who we are, and give us some fucking dick. That's really what it was about. But at the end of the day, I'm not mad at her for saying that. Because I totally just understand her position. So I'm not mad at her for saying that, for being that way. I was really disappointed at the brothers on the panel for not actually realizing and catching what I caught when I heard that, right? But back to the story, right? So when I responded, I said, listen. Well, what I should have said, and I missed it. I should have told her, well, the average black man have been patient with black women for the past 50 years. You know what I'm saying? For more than half a century. Black men have been patient with black women, or what I prefer to use, black males have been patient with the so-called black female for more than 50 years. How many more decades of patience do you expect from black males? I think that if you really want to break it down, black males have been a little bit too patient with so-called black females when they're in relationships with them, right? To the point of the fact that patience, to me, on the part of black males, I scratch my head, because me, as patient as I am, I'm not even that fucking patient when it comes to when it comes to dealing with a person's bad attitude. But I missed that point. I should have responded to her making that point, but I didn't make that point. But I'm just making that point in general. But my response to that female, based on her saying how black males need to be patient with them and be able to stick it out with black females, even though they have a bad attitude, and accept their other good attributes. I said, listen, there are things. I said, listen, no one is perfect, because that's what she was trying to, where she was trying to go with that. She was trying to go with that, with this "we're not perfect" type of shit, Black males should just be with us still. We're not perfect. We can't be Little Miss Perfect. So I responded to her by saying this. I said, no human being is perfect. Every human being has flaws, but there are flaws that are tolerable and there are flaws that are intolerable. And when it comes to a person, or when it comes to a person having a very, very, very filthy attitude, when it comes to a person mistreating you, those are things that are intolerable. And men, regardless of what color or ethnicity that they may be, should never tolerate being in a relationship or marriage with someone who is going to mistreat them and constantly give them a bad attitude. That is intolerable. So therefore, no, so-called black males at this point in time, should not be patient with a lot of so-called black females that have this bad attitude. Please. Now, once again, now once again, right? I'm the only person that caught up with what she was talking, that really caught up with her, or that was conscious of what her true agenda was for coming to the conversation. Because it seems as if the other males was not conscious of it. Because when she went back and started bringing up this idea of the host of the panel coming with a group of black males to have a conversation with her group of so-called black females to try to find a way for black men and black males and females can come together. All the other brothers except for myself was like, yeah, I'm down for the conversation. I'm down for the conversation. And when I was asked by the host of the panel, was I down to have that conversation? I said no. I said no. And I said my reasons. I said, number one, I've been having these types of conversations for over 14 years. I'm tired of doing that. And also, number two, having a conversation on a panel on the internet is not going to fix the real life issues or the real life enmity that exists between the so-called black male and female groups in America. I said I already gave one solution. If people are serious about fixing the black male and female relationship dynamic, what is necessary is for the so-called black females as a collective to break away from the things that they've been engineered to think from the things that they've been engineered to believe when it comes to so-called black males. That's a starting point. They must break away from what they've been socially engineered to believe when it comes to their environment teaching them that so-called black males are these very abusive and predatory people who are irresponsible and incapable of taking care of a family, and who are people who are incompetent. Because so-called black females, unfortunately, in America, a lot of them have been programmed to believe that the majority of so-called black males are very incompetent, thus should not be trusted. So when you have an environment that have conditioned the black female to have this perception of the majority of so-called black males, how do you expect the two groups to actually one day come together in harmony if these things are not fixed? Like if you want two groups of people to get along or to come back to getting along, if you want two groups of people to come back in some sort of peaceful harmony and bliss with each other, then what must happen is that both groups, not just the so-called black female, but so-called black males, must fix the damage that have been caused that resulted in both groups burning bridges, with the burnt bridges of both groups. Both groups must work to fix what both of them have contributed to the damage of so-called black relationships. But that's not what a lot of these so-called black females and their black male simp, their simp pets are actually advocating. They're actually advocating for one, for so-called black males to be the only ones to fix or repair any damage, even the damage that they have not contributed to fixing. And for two, or for just black males to just forget about all the dysfunction that have been caused by their female counterparts and just accept them. This is what's being told here. No one is being told. Well, actually, no one is telling the female side that okay, they must work on repairing on the things that they've destroyed when it comes to their relationships with black males, or in this case, their failed relationships with black males. Right, 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 right. But like what I'm saying is that my intent in making this video is not really to bash so-called black females, but it's to give awareness to a lot of these so-called black males who are coming across these black female content creators and their black male simps preaching this bullshit about black males and females coming together. They don't really care about coming together. People like a lot of these people are not really sincere or genuine when it comes to bringing so-called black males and females together. Because if they were genuine, then they would actually go out there in the world and put in the work in order to fix the damage that has been done that have impaired the dynamics between black males and females. I mean, if a lot of these black female content creators and their simps what was so serious about bringing black males and females together, what have they done to actually teach the next generation of younger black females on how to not follow their footsteps, on how to not fall for the same social engineering that they fell into that has caused them to have bad relationships with their male counterpart? What have the masses, or I won't say the masses, what have these specific black female content creators done to actually teach the next generation of so-called black females to not fall for that same social engineering that they fell for when it comes to having that perception of black males? Because once again, if you want the two groups to come together, what must be done is to fix the damage that has been done between the two groups. You must fix what have damaged the trust and the bond between those two groups. That takes work. As a matter of fact, that'll take generations of work for that to happen. Sigma American Arcana. I think that's what SWP disciple meant. Even though he used the word inherent, right? Inherently, I think that what he, I think that what he's talking about, yeah, he used the wrong. Okay, he SWP disciple did use the wrong word inherently in his comment, but I understood what he meant in context. He's talking about for generations that this belief this belief that so-called black females think that they're superior from black males have been passed on from generation to generation. Even though that's not an example of something being inherent, right? But I understood the context of what he said, and I agree with what he said in context. You know, but in context, SWP disciple is right, and Sigma American Arcana, you're correct. Basically, both of you are saying the same thing, really. Yeah. But once again, the purpose of this video is not to attack any so-called black female. I mean, once again, the purpose of me making this video is to let these so-called black males on here be aware that these individuals who come on YouTube and claim that they want the two groups, black males and black females, to come together, are not doing that in sincerity. But it seems like a lot of so-called black males are not aware of this, and they seem to soak this shit up like a sponge when these black female content creators come with this bullshit. And it's not only the content creators that preach this SYCBM nonsense, right? It's just in general, a lot of black female content creators have been, for the past few years, have been coming with this same nonsensical statement talking about they want the two groups to come together, but not willing to actually do the necessary work to actually fix what fix what have been destroyed. See, because if you want people to come together, you first you have to investigate what have caused these two people to separate and to dislike each other. And once you find out these factors, then you must put in the work to actually repair what those damages. Because once you repair the damage that have been done, then you're worthy of the said group that you want to reunite with you to say, all right, we forgive you. See, people don't understand what forgiveness is, especially in so-called Black America. And basically, in a nutshell, this is the reaction that a lot of these Black females content creators on here are trying to utilize when they say we want Black men and women to come together. What they're just saying is, Black man, forgive me and forget all the damage that I've done. Accept my, my pathetic ass for who I am, and take care of my kids that I got from other motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? and it is imperative for a lot of so-called Black males to be aware of this. But going back to forgiveness, right? Like I said before, a lot of people don't understand the true meaning of forgiveness, especially people in so-called Black America, right? So-called Black people in general. They don't understand what forgiveness really means, because it seems like in the minds of so-called Black people, they think that forgiveness means when someone just don't hold you accountable, no longer hold you accountable for some fucked up shit that you did to them, and just forget about it and just go back to accepting you. No, 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 no. That's not what forgiveness is. There's a process when it comes to forgiveness. There's an accountability process when it comes to forgiveness. And that accountability process is when this person who's seeking forgiveness from the other person puts in the effort to fix the wrongdoings that they've done to that other person. That's basically what repentance is. You know, when you look at the Bible, right? When you read the Bible, it speaks about repenting, right? It speaks about your sins, a person's sins being forgiven by the Almighty as a result of them repenting. But when it part of repenting, or well, actually, what repentance is in whole is when a person actually corrects the wrongdoings that they've done. When they correct the bad actions that they've done, thus now making themselves worthy of forgiveness. You have to be worthy to be forgiven. Forgiven is not just given to you, just like that. Forgiveness is not just given to you on a silver platter. No, forgiveness has to be earned, and you earn that forgiveness by putting in the work to fix what have been broken. And a lot of these black female content creators and their black male simps who preach this coming together shit, they don't understand that. Because they don't understand, because why? Because they do not want black females to be held accountable for the damage that they've contributed to when it comes to the black male and female relationship dynamics. Now, don't get me wrong. The black male does play a role, and they have contributed to the damage or the further damage of the black male female relationship dynamics. Black males have played a role in the damage and destruction of the black household. Also, black males have also played a role in the further damage and destruction of the so-called black neighborhoods also. So don't get it twisted. I'm not trying to act as if black males are not accountable for these things, in which they are. But it seems like whenever we preach accountability, we only acknowledge accountability for one gender, and that's the black male. When it comes to so-called black people on this side of YouTube that speak about relationships and accountability, they all like a lot of people always, I guess, easily acceptable for people to understand what black males are accountable for. But when it comes to looking at what the so-called black female is accountable for, now it's like we got all these different excuses, all these different mantras, all of these different cop outs that people use. And one of the biggest cop outs is, hey man, we gotta stop, we gotta just come together. We have to just come together. But how can a group of people with a history of broken relationships come together without repairing what have been damaged between the two groups? That's a very good question. That's a very good question, SWP Disciple. Then the question is, as black men, do we want the community to get right, or do we want revenge? Well, it's a good question, but SWP, you've made another mistake. You used the word community out of context, because in Black America, there is no community. We have neighborhoods, but we don't have a community. But once again, in context, that's a very good question, because it seems as if a lot of so-called black males want revenge. Me, I want so-called black people to get right. Black males and females to get right. But once again, it takes so-called black people putting in the work to fix the damages that they've contributed to in the environments that they live in, and the damages that they've contributed to when it comes to what they've done to the household. That's what I want. I mean, if these individuals who come in here and speak about, how they want so-called black males and females to come together, what have they done for so the next generation of so-called black males and females can actually get closer to this coming together stage? I mean, that's going to be once again, in order for the two groups to come together. First, what must happen is that the two groups must participate in repairing the damage that has been done between the two groups. If these black female content creators who preach this let's come together bullshit on YouTube, my question is, what have they done to utilize black female political power to make sure that black males as a collective are treated fairly and just as justly as black females in the society? I mean, if you want the two groups to come together, you must repair what has been broken, or you must help repair what's been broken, which is the correct terminology. Because accountability is not one fold when it comes to this topic; it's twofold. Both males and females should be accountable, but since these black female content creators and their simps pretend to be so concerned about black males and females coming together, what have they done to make sure that black males have actually have a fair opportunity for employment and for social programs if need be, if they're down in their luck? Because if anybody know about social programs for a lot of times mainly benefits females. Have these black female content creators actually utilize the political power of black females to make sure that there are just as much homeless shelters for males as there are for females? What have they done to utilize their political power to actually give a more balance of opportunities between both groups? What up, game changer? What up? I mean, if these individuals are so serious about the two groups coming together, they should have or should be lacing up their boots and putting in their work, boots on the ground, and putting in the necessary work to actually create an environment that would be just as fair for both genders. Are these same black females, right? Are these same black female content creators and their black male simps What are they doing? Are they what are they doing when it comes to actually fighting against fighting against fighting against custody battles, right? Or in other words, let me see. Let me put this in a different way. What have these same black female content creators and their black male simps, right? What have they done to reduce the high amount of black females who actually get in the way of the fathers of their children from having a relationship with their children? I mean, you hear a lot of instances, right, where where you got this happened, in this happened all over America beyond race, because this happens in so-called white America, black America, Latino America, where you have mothers of children who are no longer married or in a relationship with the father of their children, but yet try to play these games to prevent the father of their children to being actively involved in their children's lives. And they do it out of spite. And this definitely happens in black America. Are these black female content creators who want black males and females to come together, are they actually going out there in places of legislation and advocating or creating bills for so laws can be passed for so these things to drastically reduce these situations? Are they doing that? Because these things come with the territory of fixing the damage that exists between so-called black males and females. And if you want these two groups of people to come together, you must fix the damages that exist between the two groups. Because when a damage is fixed, when the damages are repaired, that's when both groups are worthy in coming together. And if you talk and if nobody's talking about this bullshit about repairing what have been damaged between the two groups, then all this talk about black males and females coming together is fucking bullshit. Okay? Which are currently, that's the status that these conversations are in. It is in bullshit status. It's in fucking bullshit status. Let's come together. Let's come together. But motherfuckers not talking about fixing the things that have prevented the two groups to come together. Get the fuck out of here, man. I just don't like when people are full of shit. I just hate that shit. I just hate when people come on here and be so full of fucking cow shit. I mean, motherfuckers on here are so full of shit that they could be a human toilet bowl. I'm telling you, man. But once again, the purpose of me making this video is not really to attack or to bash the so-called black female collective. My purpose is to once again give awareness to a lot of so-called black males on here who actually fall victim to buying into this whole let's get together narrative that some of these black female content creators are preaching, and not realizing That the true agenda of a lot of these black female and their simps in saying let's come together is really as a way to silence black males and try to prevent black males from holding black females accountable for the dysfunction that they've contributed to that further destroyed black male and female relations. That's really what it's about. A lot of these so-called black males need to be aware of this shit. You know, a lot of black males have been socially engineered because, I speak a lot about black females being socially engineered, but of course, common sense, we know that black males have been socially engineered also. Like the majority of so-called black males in America have been socially engineered and programmed to believe that they're not worthy of anything great, that they're not worthy of greatness. A lot of so-called black males have been socially engineered to believe that they ain't shit, and they're not. And unfortunately, it seems as if a lot of black males believe for a long time that they do not have agency, when in reality, black males have always had agency. And now we're living in a time where so-called black males have an understanding of their agency, and they even are now understanding that there are other environments and other cultures that have raised and created better quality women that are marriage material. And the more black males who are understanding this concept, the more you have these so-called black female content creators and their simps coming to black males talking about let's get together. And I'm telling you, so-called black males, don't fall for that dumbass shit. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. They're degrading themselves to get pussy. Yeah, they are. And they're content with that. Like I said, I'm not mad at the females for actually playing that game. Well, actually, in a way, I am because, like I said before, I hate bullshit. I hate bullshit, but at the same time, I understand where the females coming, where these females are coming from. Because if I was them, I'd probably be doing the same shit too. If I was in their position, you know. But we live in at a time where, especially online, where more black males are understanding that they've always had agency, that they've always had have the choice to not get themselves involved with these bad quality females that have been created domestically. The more you're going to have a lot of these phony, disingenuous, disingenuous females coming on here claiming to be the exceptions to the rule, claiming to be these good black women, when in reality they're not, just in order to try to get black males to come back to the table with them. And they're doing that as their last hope of getting some dick. Or not getting some dick, but as their last hope in locking down a husband. And a lot of these so-called black females who fit that description, they're usually, like I said, in their 40s, 50s, or 60s. A lot of them are usually single parents. A lot of them deep down inside have a very bad attitude. And they often show it online with a very condescending and or passive aggressive personality, right? So it's like a snake can only hide in the bushes, but for so long until they come out and bite. And so-called black males must be aware of these things existing. And when I mean the so-called black males, I'm talking about the so-called black males on here. Because a lot of you guys often support these types of female content creators that in reality don't give a fuck about you. But they give a fuck about your dollars, though. They give a fuck about you donating to them, though. It's to a point where a lot of these so-called black males in this side of YouTube would support these black female content creators more than you'll support other brothers that generally care about your dumb asses. And that's sad. It's sad to see this type of dynamic. But then again, a lot of you so-called black males on this side of YouTube are the biggest simps that money did not buy. And I stated this long ago about a lot of so-called black males online, that most so-called black males online are simps. Most of them are. Not some, not half, not a little bit, most. Most so-called black males on the internet are fucking simps. And when they come on here and speak on relationships, a lot of times they do that out of frustrations because they feel that they failed in getting the type of pussy that they want to get. So then when they come across these narcissistic female content creators, right, who look at most decent in the face, and they come with this deceptive let's get together mantra, a lot of these so-called black men are all in because they just they just hoping to get some attention from these broads, which is sad, by the way, which is sad to see, by the way. It's a fucking sad thing, but that's the reality that we live in, man. That's the fucking reality that we live in. It's crazy though. It's crazy. Hold on, how come my picture's not showing up on the screen? So once again, it's very important for a lot of you people on here to be very conscious of what's going on, not only on here, but in the real world. But especially on here, since we're communicating with each other on, online, you guys have to be conscious of what's really going on here. You guys have to be conscious of the fact that a lot of these content creators come here with ill intent. A lot of these content creators, whether male and female, they come out here with an agenda to benefit self. And you can be able to recognize that agenda because oftentimes they end up slipping and actually admit to this shit. And you can also recognize their agenda by actually paying attention to what they're talking about and also actually asking certain logical questions. Like, for example, earlier in this stream, I was asking these logical questions about, okay, if these black female content creators who preach about this let's get together shit are really serious about black males and females getting together, how come are they doing this? Are they doing that? These are very logical and direct questions that actually dig into whether or not these people are actually sincere about what the fuck they're talking about. Because a lot of these motherfuckers are not sincere, man. A lot of these people are so full of shit. So be aware of these things. Anyhow, I'm Audi 5000, man. Peace to all you guys in the chat. Peace to all you guys that's that have listened to this stream, whether you're listening live or on the playback. You guys be safe. Peace.